Hey guys, today I'm going to go over the differences between the M9 and the M18 pistols as it pertains to military service. So just for my background briefly, I was in the Army from 2001 to 2007. I deployed to Iraq in 2004 and 5, and I carried the M9 pistol. I'm still in the military today, but I no longer carry a sidearm on a daily basis. But the service that I am in now uses the M18, and we've replaced the M9. So I want to go over some of the features of both, the good things about each one and the bad things about each one, and give you my final opinion on which one I think is better. And you may or may not agree, and if you don't agree, I'd love to hear your reasons why. So first, let's go ahead and talk about the M9. Some of the features that I like about the M9 is the fact that it has a loaded chamber indicator, and I'll show you how that works. So when you have a round in the chamber, which we do now, this extractor sticks up here and it's hard to see, but you can feel it very easily. So all you have to do is reach over and you can tell when there's a round in the chamber. Okay, let's go ahead and unload that now. Okay, the next feature that I like about it is this slide lock is very easy to manipulate. And unlike the M18, it's a lot easier to use. I also like the ambidextrous safety on the M9. It acts as not only a safety, but it acts as a decocking lever, and it physically disconnects the trigger so that there is just no way to fire this thing if there's a round in the chamber. And if you look here, you'll notice, let me see, actually, let me turn on the light here. When you move the safety, it physically rotates the firing pin extension 90 degrees. So there's just no way for the firing pin to be interacted with the hammer here. The other feature about the M9 that I like that some may actually think is a bad thing is how easy it is to take down. So to disassemble the pistol, all you have to do is push this button here, this takedown button, and rotate the lever down. And the slide comes right off. Now, sometimes that could be considered a bad thing too, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So those are some of the features of the M9 that I like. Let me put it back together here. I'm trying to do this with the camera. Okay, that's the M9. Let's talk about the M18. So the M18 also has a loaded chamber indicator, and I'll show you how that works. Okay, it sticks up right here and lets you know when you have a round in the chamber. Now, military issue M18s don't come with an optic. You're just going to have a plate here. So it's to be a little easier to feel if there's a round in the chamber. Okay, let's go ahead and unload this now. All right, the M18 also has an ambidextrous safety here, but all it does is disconnect the trigger. It does nothing else to decock the pistol or anything else. To take down the pistol, it's a little bit more involved than the M9, so you cannot take the pistol down if the slide is forward. To do that, you have to lock it back and then rotate this lever all the way down. At that point, the slide will come off the front of the pistol. So we'll talk about whether or not that's a good thing or not. Oops, sorry about shaking the camera here. In a second. The M18 does not have a hammer. It's hammerless. So there's nothing to get snagged on there, right? And there's nothing to interact with here. Whenever this slide is pulled back and released, the pistol is cocked. There's no way to decock it. There's no way to even tell that it's cocked. It's either it's cocked or it's not. So there's no round in the chamber. We pull the trigger. Oh yeah, forgot to mention, this is a California edition one. The military issue ones don't have this issue, but I have a trigger disconnect here, or a magazine disconnect on the California edition of the M18. So let's talk about some of the things that I like about the M18 over the M9, and then we'll talk about the opposite in just a second. First thing I do like about it is the size. Now, this is a compact pistol. The M18 has a shorter barrel than the M9. The M17, which I believe the Army uses now, has a longer barrel, and it's going to be similar in size to the M9. Okay. The M18, however, is a compact pistol, so it's going to have a shorter barrel. Now, you may have an opinion on that either way. Honestly, I don't have a problem with carrying a compact pistol in the military now, because I don't know that I really need a 5-inch barrel at realistic pistol engagement ranges, right? I remember when I qualified on the M9 a million years ago, 20 years ago, we were shooting at 25-yard targets. Now, I don't know if they still do that or not, but realistically, I don't know that I would be engaging a target at 25 yards with the pistol. That's what I have an M4 for. So this extra length and size, I don't know is necessary in a modern conflict. So that is definitely an advantage of the M18. It is definitely more compact. Also, what I do like is the ability to mount pistol-mounted optics on this. This pistol comes ready to do that. Now, standard issue pistols that I'm aware of at work right now, I don't see anybody carrying like the cops, right? I don't see them carrying optics, but that doesn't mean that they can't. So having a pistol ready to ship that can mount optics right out of the box is an advantage over the M9. Now, that's not a knock on the M9. Obviously, there's no putting an optic on a stock M9 pistol. But this is a 30-year-old pistol, right? This design is much older. So it wasn't intended to have optics because they didn't really have them back then. The other thing I like about the M18 is the handling. The shape of the grip, the feel of the pistol, I feel it lends to more natural pointing characteristics. When you draw it out of the holster, it naturally wants to come up to your sight line right away. The feel of the pistol in the hand, I feel, is superior to the M18. Okay? Now, since I'm already holding this pistol, I'm going to go ahead and talk about what I don't like about it. What I don't like about it is the fact that it doesn't have a hammer. Now, call me old school here. A lot of modern pistols are going hammerless, but I like the tactile feel of knowing whether or not my pistol is cocked. I like the ability to decock it with the round in the chamber. Granted, this thing has a safety, but I personally prefer carrying pistols with the round in the chamber, decocked, and being able to quickly cock it if I want to. And there's no doing that with an M18. You cock it, when you pull the slide back, it's cocked and that's it. And there's no way to decock it. So I prefer the old school hammers on pistols, and this does not have that. So you don't know if it's cocked or not. If there's a round in the chamber, it's cocked, I guess, but it's hard to tell. I don't like that. The other thing I don't like about this pistol is the slide lock. This thing is atrocious. It's very, very small and it's very, very stiff. Let me show you this thing. So if I cock this all the way back, right? Okay, no rounds in there. This is not an easy slide lock to get onto, right? If you're holding the pistol, you have this tiny little thing you have to feel for, and it's very stiff. Okay, now it is ambidextrous, which the M9 doesn't have, but I'm a right-handed shooter anyway, so that's worthless to me. But trying to get on this thing, it's very hard to do. And I think they made a mistake here making this thing so small. I guess it doesn't snag on stuff, that's fine, but it's so hard to manipulate if you're just trying to use your slide lock release here. Now, I guess if you had around the chamber, you could just rack the slide and get around that, but why make it harder to release the slide with this chintzy little thing? So that's what I don't like about this. These are the things I don't like. Now, let's talk about the M9. Here's the stuff that I like about the M9. I love this safety, okay? It works so well. I carried this pistol with the round in the chamber for a year in a combat zone, and I never once felt unsafe carrying it because I would just load around and then decock it. And I had confidence that it worked because the trigger is disconnected, right? And I know that this firing pin has no way of coming into contact with the hammer because it's rotated 90 degrees. So chamber round, decock it, put it in a holster, and have confidence. And if I need to draw it, I can do double action pull, or I can, if I have the time, I can go ahead and cock it for a single action pull on the trigger, right? So the safety on the M9 is very good, and I felt very confident with it. I also like the slide lock, the release, okay? When you're holding the pistol, it's very easy to drop the slide. Unlike the M18, which is like I just showed you, is very difficult to do. This, very easy to move, very easy to drop. Now, it's not ambidextrous, but, you know, again, I'm right-handed anyway, so that's not an issue for me. So, and then the other last thing I like about the M9, which I did mention on the M18, is the ability to move this magazine release can be done very easily in the field. I used to do it for all of my friends who are left-handed shooters. It would take me a couple minutes to take this out and flop it around. On the M18, some disassembly is required here. This is not easy to rotate over. It takes a bit more work to do. Okay, the downsides of the M9, and again, this is a minor one because it's, you know, what is it supposed to do? There's really no putting a pistol mounted optic on this thing. Again, this is an older design, and I understand that, but there's no way of mounting a red dot sight on your M9 unless you have to get a custom milled slide with mounts, and I don't even know if it's even possible on the M9. So there's no doing that on this. Additionally, that thing that I showed you about taking the slide down, remember that movie Lethal Weapon 4 when Jet Li took the slide off of Mel Gibson's gun? Well, it's not that hard to do, guys. Literally in this condition, you only have to push the lever, rotate down, and boom, the slide is off. Now, is someone going to really do that to you? Probably not, unless they're Jet Li. But it is theoretically possible if someone had the reflexes and the wherewithal, they could take your gun apart in your hand that easily. And there's no doing that with an M18. You have to have the slide all the way back to take the lever down. Again, that's kind of silly. It's unlikely that they're not going to get shot first before they do that. But it's almost too easy to take this thing apart. And the last thing I don't like about the M9, after having some experience with a compact pistol here, is just the size. It's a big, chunky pistol. Now, back in 1980, 1990, early 2000s, when the common belief was that we need a full-size pistol to engage targets at 20, 30 yards, I guess that's fine if you want to do that. This pistol will do that. But I don't think that's realistic anymore. And something this size makes more sense. So overall, which one would I pick in 2024 to carry every day? Probably this one, because it just has a little more modern amenities like the red dot sight and the size. But I don't want to disparage the M9. I carried it in Iraq. It did great service for me. I never shot my foot off. It was very safe. I felt comfortable with it. It never malfunctioned. I have nothing bad to say about this when I used it. This one, I don't know. In the job I have in the military now, I don't really need to carry a pistol every day. And even if I get deployed again, I probably won't carry one either because I fix airplanes now. I don't shoot stuff. So I won't ever really get a chance to carry this in combat, but I am sure that this will do just fine. So those are my opinions on the M9 and the M18, the features that they have, and the pluses and downsides of each one. I would love to hear your opinion on this and what you think. Thank you.